Now I'm using the 1.2 instrument. We made the pilot hole. We took an x-ray to assure it's lined up properly. As you can see, I have the base of the instrument slightly positioned to the buccal because of the angulation of the bone. So we are going to be using a custom abutment in this case for sure. I'm screwing it in a little bit and then I'm waiting for the bone to expand. Right where the threads finish, it's the 8mm mark. And I'm essentially using my two fingers. Focus more on the sight. And the second line is coming up, that's the 10mm mark. I'm going to let the instrument sit for a moment so the bone expands. It's probably about type 2, type 3 bone based on what I'm feeling. These instruments become active when you reach the 8mm mark, the end of the thread. So this is again the 1-2 instrument. You never pull these instruments out. You disengage them by rotating them counterclockwise. So now we're going to take out. This is again the second instrument. This is the what we call tip number 1, and it is the second instrument. I gently rotate it right out, and then we're going to change to tip number 2. Okay, so this is now the third instrument I'm going to be using, and this is the let's see, 1, 2, 1, 3. So this is the 2, 3 instrument, and because it's 2, 3, 3 minus 2 is equal to 1. So this is a delta 1 instrument. So this instrument will not do any work on the crest. It will only do work at the apical portion of the osteotomy. And because this is a delta 1 instrument, it is only going to work deep. And because it's a delta 1 instrument, it goes in much easier than a delta 2 instrument. As you can see, that's why I'm progressing faster. Suction if possible once. Okay, never mind, keep going. Don't shut it off. So I'm again approaching the end of the thread, which is the end of the 8mm point. And once again, I'm using the third instrument. So we did tip 0, which is the first. We did tip 1, which is the second. We did tip 2, which is the third. And now I'm using the third instrument, which is again the 3-2 taper. So this is going pretty tight, so I'm going to let the bone expand. So I'm just waiting for the bone to expand slightly. In the meantime, excuse me by the way, In the meantime, I'll verify the lingual plate. All looks good. So let's take it to full depth. Suction right there. One more time suction, please. Now, as you ladies and gentlemen out in the audience can see, the instrument is starting to expand this portion right here, okay? Right here. Suction. So in denser bone, I highly recommend that you proceed much slower, so you give the bone a chance to expand. Okay, so the softer the bone is, the slower you can manipulate the instruments. The denser the bone is, the denser the bone, the slower you proceed. The softer the bone, the faster you can proceed. We're proceeding. Now I'm going to switch over to the last tip, and then we'll resume. This here is the final tip in this case. So we're planning a 3/7 implant here, and this is the 2/4 instrument. And this again, because it's a 2/4, and 4 minus 2 equals 2. So this is a delta 2 instrument, which will not do anything at the apex, but will do most of the work, rather all the work, in the crestal portion. Again, I'm proceeding relatively slowly to give the bone a chance to expand. So again, I'm just going to repeat. We started with the pilot hole, then we used tip 0, tip 1, tip 2, and now we're using tip 3. And because we start from tip 0, this is essentially the 4th instrument in the sequence that we're using. I'm letting the instrument expand the bone because this is pretty dense. Okay, suction. And the advantage, well, there's many advantages, but one of the big advantages is the patient is not drilling into their bones, so it's much more pleasant to do it this way as opposed to doing it the conventional way by drilling. Suction once, please. You guys see here how it's starting to push the buccal plate out? You feel that I'm screwing something, right? But no pain, right?
Troszkę bólu, pani ma?
You have some pain? Okay. Let me give you some more anesthetic. And then we'll proceed. I gave the patient a little more anesthetic. I'm just going to re-engage the instrument. And I repeat, I am slightly positioned with the base of the instrument coming rather buccal from the incisal edges of the teeth because of the angulation of the bone. So we're definitely going to put a custom abutment in this case. I need more suction, please, so I can see what's going on in the buccal. Suction the buccal piece, please. Yep. Now I think the audience can see what's going on, how the buccal is spreading out. So it's almost like splitting. Right here you guys can see how it bulks out. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just complete the osteotomy now with the final drill because I don't want to push this out any further. There's no point for me to push it out any further. So the final point I will complete with the last drill from the implant system. Alright? Pause for a moment. Alright, so what we did was we used the fourth tip, but I took the fourth tip, the third tip, which is the final tip in this case. I took it only to 8 millimeters, maybe a little bit here more, because it pushed out the buccal plate, as you guys can see here, pretty substantially, okay? So in this case, we're not deficient in width, so it's not necessary to extend further. So I didn't want to take a chance of actually breaking the bone. So I used the last tip, almost the final depth of 10 millimeters, and then I used the final drill from the implant system to essentially complete the osteotomy. So the bone here is relatively dense. And now we're going to put the implant fixture in. We'll resume in 1 second. So here's the implant, and we're going to insert it. Initially with finger force, finger pressure, whatever you want to call it, and then we'll go to my other instrument. And this is again a 3/7 implant. And again, I'm going to go relatively slow, give it a chance to expand. We have a lovely patient today who's very patient with us. Now we're going to just finish it up. We have excellent primary fixation. And again, it's important to line up the flat of the hex to the buccal in case anyone wants to use a stock abutment. going to go a little bit more down, maybe another millimeter.